Chapter 5. Happy birthday to me, Kayla muttered as she opened her eyes on Saturday morning. This was it, 17, the big day. The phone rang. Kayla, it's Amber, your mother called from downstairs. I'll be right there, she yelled. With a sigh, she swung out of bed and down the stairs. Hi, Amber, she said, taking the phone from her mother. Amber sang a few quick bars of happy birthday to you, then got right to it, as Kayla suspected she would. Okay, don't thank me. Your papers have been filed by moi, and you are about to become a code-carrying member of the adult world. You filed a barcode application for me? In reply, Amber shrieked a high-pitched hoot of excitement that made Kayla cringe. I'll be waiting for you outside my house. Be there at 9 sharp. Kayla hung up and looked at her mother, who sat at the table staring vacantly into her coffee. Her blankness told Kayla that she'd already taken some of the heavy-duty tranquilizer Pro-Peace she'd been stealing from the hospital. She'd lose her job if she got caught, but that wasn't the main thing worrying Kayla. Was this zombie the person her mother intended to be from now on? Did she plan to live the rest of her life on Pro-Peace? What's up for you today? Mrs. Reed asked as she continued staring into her cup. It's my birthday, she said. Mrs. Reed glanced up, her eyebrows raised with a rare show of interest. Oh, happy birthday. 16, right? 17. Whoops, Kayla's mom said with a dull, embarrassed laugh. Time flies. Yeah, Kayla said. Back in her bedroom, Kayla examined the delicate blue veins at her wrist. She picked a titanium nail file from her dresser and scratched in a barcode, digging deep into her skin. A dot of blood blossomed out of a vein, making her cringe. How could such a small wound hurt so much? She clutched her wrist, pressing on the veins. She'd seen a girl in school who had attempted suicide scar across her wrists. The barcode tattoo reminded her of that scar. It was practically in the same spot. Why couldn't she just get the barcode and not worry about it? Mrs. Harmon had called it much ado about nothing. Was she really making too much of it? Images of Ezekiel and Mufumbi appeared in her mind. They were so confident that they were right. What if they weren't right, though? Maybe the barcode was just a great method of organizing things, proposed by some efficiency expert. Everything was about efficiency these days. It might be obnoxious, but that didn't necessarily mean that there was some sinister plot behind it. Putting her palms on either side of her head, she shut her eyes and squeezed as if to push down all of these maddening, confusing thoughts. And when she opened her eyes again, she took in the things in her room as if seeing them as a stranger might, wondering what they might tell somebody about a girl who lived there. Her open closet was packed sloppily with clothes that she had never been neat. Last season's silvers behind this year's neon-colored fabrics. Then there was the poster of Ty Zambor, Lunar Tick's drummer, that Amber had given her and even hung for her. The top of her lucite dresser was strewn with colored sketching pencils, makeup, her handheld organizer, and her pocket-sized Communo disc, the 2-inch card that connected her to phones, computers, faxes, and scanners. How much longer would her mother be able to pay the monthly fee on that? Her eyes traveled in the mirror above the dresser, and it reflected back a picture of her father. Startled, she sat bolt upright. No! It was only her own reflection that she'd seen. What a strange trick of shadow and desire, making her think just for an instant that she saw her father in the mirror. She stood and stared at her reflection. Why hadn't she ever noticed how much she looked like him? The same hazel eyes and wide mouth. Well, sure, everyone always said she looked like her grandmother, but her father's mother. It made sense that her father looked like his mother as well. She had often wished she'd known Grandma Kathy better, but she'd lived so far away and died 10 years ago. It was funny not to know someone from whom you'd inherited so many of the genes that made you, you. Digital numbers streamed from pole to pole on her clock. 8:45, 8:46, 8:47. Titanium wires that carried them were neatly invisible, making the numbers appear to float in midair. Amber would be waiting for her. She had to decide. Out in the hall, her mother shuffled by and in a low voice sang a song from the early days of the century, the days when she had been a young woman. I'm like a bird. I only fly away. The bedroom door swung shut behind her. Kayla pulled on her hot pink stretch one-piece suit and finished the look with black boots. She grabbed the silver solar jacket from the closet and snapped out the wrinkles before she slid into it. Checking her image in the mirror, she put on a silver lipstick and black eyeliner. That's good. She approved her look. No sad songs for her, no suicide, no beatings in the school hall. She would fit in, go along, and be okay. Life was too difficult to do it any other way. In 10 minutes, she was out of the house, heading towards Amber, who waited in her tidy, well-clipped front yard and waved when she saw Kayla. Final level, her friend cheered. You have not looked so hot since, well, you know, your dad and all. Never mind. 17 is going to be the beginning of the new Kayla. I just know it. Thanks. Promise me you'll dress like this on Monday at school. You'll have the guys dragging their tongues along the hall after you. Ew, Kayla laughed at the bizarre image. You know what I mean, Kayla. What would Kayla say to Mufumbi and Ezekiel when she showed up with the tattoo on Monday? She admired Mufumbi and liked him. She wanted him to like her, and Ezekiel, she couldn't stop thinking about him. She tried hard not to because Nidra was always pressed up against him. There was no chance anything could happen between them as long as Nedra and he were so tight. Still, Ezekiel's face popped into her mind at any time, even when she didn't want it to. No matter how hard she tried to banish the picture, she was powerless over it. But she couldn't let him make this decision for her. She had no respect for girls who let their crushes rule their lives. Come on, let's do this thing, she said to Amber, her voice quivering. They were about to leave when Amber's parents burst out of the front door. Mrs. Thorne was crying when Mr. Thorne stormed angrily towards his sleek, silver, light-engine Jaguar. What's the matter, Kayla asked Amber as Mrs. Thorne trailed tearfully after her husband. Amber's rolled her eyes. You don't even want to know. They've been at it all morning. It's about that new house, the one across town they were supposed to buy. Kayla nodded. The one with the thermal indoor pool and the virtual reality hologram deck in the rec room. Yeah, I remember. I can't wait to try it out. Well, you might have to wait a while because something's gone wrong with the deal. Mom's flipping because our house is already sold and she doesn't know if they'll be able to get into the new one. What went wrong? Kayla asked. Something screwy with Dad's barcode. The mortgage company rejected him when he applied for the mortgage. They scanned it and suddenly the deal was off. This morning they just got the news that the second bank turned them down too. But your dad has a good job, Kayla said. Amber's family had always been better off than Kayla's. They weren't exactly rich, but Amber usually got whatever she wanted. I know he does. That's what's so weird. They tried Mom's barcode, but something's up with that too. The people are due to move into our house next week, and my parents tried to put them off, but they insisted on moving in. Where will you live? Amber shrugged. I guess we'll go to a motel or maybe get a room in the new Skyplex outside of town. Mr. Thorne's car screeched out of the driveway and onto the street. At the top of the drive, Mrs. Thorne buried her face in her hands and cried. Should you go see if she's okay? Kayla asked. Amber stood a minute, shifting from foot to foot, uncertain what to do. She'll be all right, she decided. Mom gets hysterical, but she always calms down. They headed for the post office at the center of the Trans Business District. It would take about 10 minutes to get there on foot. Even though mail was no longer delivered there, everyone still called it the post office. As they walked, Kayla wondered what the scanner had picked in the Thorne's barcode. What secret had the bank uncovered? She glanced alongside at Amber. Was it something Amber knew and wasn't telling? Or was she as clueless as Kayla had been about her own father's secret troubles? Amber wasn't the type to keep a secret, especially from her best friend. She'd tell if she knew. Had Mr. and Mrs. Thorne known there was something in their barcodes that could hurt them? Or had it come as a huge surprise? Would there be a surprise like that lurking in her barcode as well? She couldn't imagine what surprise could be possible. Bad computer grades? Did that sort of thing show up? The line outside the post office was only about 6 people long when they arrived. The sky had clouded and a cold rain began to fall. This crashes, Amber griped, clutching her thin lime green sweater tightly. Let's go home, Kayla suggested. An uncomfortable pressure had formed just outside of her consciousness, an uneasiness. Maybe it was just her uncertainty about the barcode, but maybe only the grimness of the day. Don't worry, Amber assured her. The line moves fast. Did your neighbor ever tell you his big top secret info about the two? Kayla shook her head. I haven't seen him. He's avoiding you because there is no top secret info. Maybe, Kayla agreed. Small flecks of hail began to fall. The sharp, tiny ice bounced from the ledge of the window just over her head, clicking rapidly. The icy rocks sparkled against the glass, and Kayla watched as they pounded in every direction, sparkling, sparkling. ... They moved slowly towards the city, along with the other people streaming towards it. Something is drowning in her ear. A mosquito? No, a fighter jet. It streaked low over the crowd, sleek and impossibly low. Too low. Her companions clutched her wrist. Something explodes, a blinding ball of fire. Flat on the ground, her face is in the dirt, searing heat above her. ... Her eyes snapped open. The line moved quickly, and she'd somehow moved along with it. There were only 3 people away from the door, and she grabbed Amber's arm. I don't want to do this. I can't, she said, her voice nearly a sob. We have to go. Please, now. In a moment, she would run, with or without Amber. Kayla tugged on Amber's arms, trying to yank her from the line. Her friend resisted and smiled at the others in line. She's just really banging about this whole thing, she explained, embarrassed. Amber placed her hands on Kayla's shoulders to calm her. Don't worry. Everyone does this now. It's no big deal. I'm not kidding. I'm leaving. Kayla tore free of Amber's grip, and she darted out into the road, zigzagging through the cars, and Amber came after, calling. Kayla turned to her. A gunshot from inside the post office cracked the quiet. Amber stopped, frozen. A second shot. 3 of them. At a pause, then a fourth. The last shot blasted through the post office window, and blood sprayed up from inside, streaking the glass.